Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Speaking to Vote Tourism, Mr Chair, I'd just like to congratulate the Minister of Tourism for his vision, his aspiration, his plan and action, not words, action, for putting into place an economy on which New Zealand can rebuild its tourism after 9 years of shambolic, of misguided, of tragic, of disgraceful and, quite frankly, defeatist administration of not only the tourism sector by the previous government, Mr Chair, but of course of the entire economy, Mr Chair, because the tourism sector rests upon a robust economy which needs good infrastructure, which needs an educated workforce, which needs a business sector that wants to invest in the future, Mr Chairman, and also that is ambitious and, yes, is bullish, aspirational for New Zealand, not like the defeatist rhetoric we constantly hear across from the other side. And I am saddened, Mr Chair, particularly in this vote, to hear essentially confirmation that the Labour Party want to rip up the cycleways once they're down and built. I am disgusted, and particularly people in Hawke's Bay will be very disappointed with the confirmation from earlier speakers that one of the key announcements from our Minister of Tourism earlier last year, in fact, once these cycleways are put in place, the Labour Party want to dig them up. If I'm wrong, I look forward to other members standing up saying Labour Party back the cycleways. Mr Chairman, other members are talking about how we attract tourists here. Well, one of the things we need a competitive exchange rate. Well, what happened to our exchange rate in the last 9 years or so? It was actually got to near 80 cents under the previous regime. Interest rates were as high, got to double figures under the previous regime. So those businesses that wanted to invest in themselves, in New Zealand, in tourism, actually had to fight the highest interest rates in the OECD because of the expend-up, unfocused spending, unaccountable spending and just non-transparent spending and outcome of the previous regime. Because not only did they push interest rates, their unfocused spending, I acknowledge the member, not only did they push interest rates up with their unfocused spending, which underpinned the exchange rate, which underpinned inflation rate, and as previous members have spoken, we've been in recession since about 2004 in the tradable sector, of which the tourism vote is in fact a large part. We had an export year. Apparently that was going to fix everything. It didn't. Success in the tourism industry and the tourism sector and effectiveness of the tourism vote, Mr Chair, will depend. And tourists in New Zealand can come and they will witness recently probably the biggest transformation in our tax system in 25 years. They will witness here to make their tourism experience so much better, faster, smarter, public services and the use of public funds, Mr Chair, and I'll go back to the corporations and the companies that are investing in the tourism sector whose tax rate will be going down to 28%, 28 cents in the dollar next April. They will also have a workforce which is starting to get better educated because of national standards and the focus of this government on frontline services, deliverables and outcomes, not the endless plans, the endless talk on the other side. Actions speak so much louder than words. They will enjoy motorways, airports which have improved from the boost in infrastructure spending. Well, the members want infrastructure built over a couple of days. Well, in fact, it does take quite years. Interestingly, for example, those tourists can now shop at another supermarket, which took 4 months to get onto the board for the RMA changes that this government made, as opposed to one that took 12 long years from that previous government with the shambolic administration of the RMA, Mr Chair. But those tourists will come here and they'll, of course, come to Hawke's Bay wine country, I'm sure, Mr Chairman. But it is actually relatively cheap, and I hope those tourists, when they come back again and again and again, actually they will see a better economic environment in New Zealand, and we would have moved up from number 22 in the OECD, where we tragically slid so fast and so far down under the previous administration. One thing they'll also see, those tourists, Mr Chair, is more efficient public services. In fact, this current government, and in the total budget there, about $2 billion of savings has been made to have better realisation of the investment of taxpayers in New Zealand Incorporated, and particularly in the tourism sector. Mr Chair, other members across the other side have taken the mickey, shall we say, out of our aspirational growth with trade with China. We aim to take it to $20 billion by 2020. What's wrong with that? Why are they so defeatist? We're an exporting nation. We need to export our way out of the current situation.
The question is that vote tourism stand part of the schedule. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that vote finance stand